Hi, everyone.
Hey, y'all.
I'm Erica.
I'm Lexi.
And we want to welcome you guys back to
The Purpose Cooker.
So, you guys, we have been on a brief hiatus. Thank you for bearing with us, just going through some transitional things, but we're back. And of course, since we are back during such a momentous occasion, we got to go there. We want to first congratulate you for making it through cuffing season.
Yes.
Making it through the holidays. You have one small hurdle to go, and that's D-Day, Valentine's Day.
Love.
So
Never knew what I was missing, but I knew once we start kissing, I found.
Anywho, so we just wanted to come to you guys this week for this Purpose Cooker, and we wanted to talk to you guys about singleness, how to be productive, or what singleness looks like, and dating in 2020. So these are just kind of like teasers for topics that we definitely want to go a little bit deeper into, because we can't even begin to break this apart in the way that we should in the amount of time that we have. But we definitely want to kind of just go there with you guys. So first things first, if any of you guys feel like singleness is a curse, you've got it all wrong. And not only do you have it wrong just because, but you have it wrong biblically as well. And the reason for this is because Paul actually talks about this in 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Please read it. It is a really good chapter that just kind of paints a picture as to seasonal lives, like what's going on in different seasons, what it's like to be married, how that affects your walk with Christ, your ministry life, and what it's like to be single, and how that also plays a part in the greater picture. And Paul really basically says singleness is a gift. And the reason why it's a gift is because it actually is a time where you can be undivided with your attention for God. And so that is so important because it's a period where you don't have to you don't have a family to support. And Paul actually talks about that, as a man or as a woman, your attention is now divided between your family and God. And so it's a really beautiful space and time for you to do some self-discovery and so forth. So if you're single during Valentine's Day, this whole week, because really it can be that way for some people where it's a week long worth of activities.
Go ahead now, girlfriend.
It can be that way.
Go ahead.
So if if that's your situation, I want to just encourage you and say, be intentional with your single season. It's actually a gift from God, and it's not something that's permanent. If it's not something that you don't, if you don't want it to be permanent, it can be, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But just enjoy it, because there's something really special about having that time with the Lord that's completely undivided. And so really what we're talking about is just being intentional, being intentional with your single season.
Because there's a season for everything. And just like there's a season for your singleness, there will be, because it's a desire of your heart, I believe that God will make it come to pass. But because you have an intentional season of singleness, there is also such a thing as intentional dating. And so what is that? What is intentional dating? So to break it down, intentional dating is dating with a purpose, dating with a plan, and not just dating to date. Okay? And so to break that down even further, we want to talk about red flags, courting.
Right. So for you, if you had to think about intentional dating, like what does intentional dating look like for you?
I think
what's the process? What's the process look like? The mechanics of it?
When you're intentionally dating, in my head, the goal is to get married.
Right. So what does that look like dating wise?
You have boundaries.
Okay.
You have accountability partners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
that's what you're getting at. Okay.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, what I'm getting at is like,
I'm not even in that mindset. So I'm like,
yeah, but I mean, I think what I'm getting at is just having clear lines of communication and establishing upfront the expectations of the relationship.
Yes.
And then in order for you to even get to that space, though, I think that's where the red flags comes in. And that means, for me, red flags is, for me to even be able to identify a red flag, I have to have expectations. And these expectations early on, I'm already seeing that maybe there's some challenges. I foresee that there's going to be some challenges with those expectations being met. And that could be how our communication styles, like maybe I have a certain expectation of how you would communicate with me. Maybe I would want you to give me phone calls and you are text only. Or
expectations are a red flag in general. It's a huge red flag.
Expectation, when they're not being met, when your expectations are not being met, those are the red flags, is when they're not being met, right?
Yeah, but like sometimes, like,
what do you mean?
Okay, so it's good to have a standard of what you want somebody to have, but at the same time, you can't expect somebody to do something because we can only control ourselves. We can't control what other people do. So I think knowing what your standard is, knowing that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that you have to know what is what's your expectation. Like that's what I'm saying. You set the expectation, and then from there, when the expectation isn't being met, that's a red flag. And so, and it doesn't always mean like, oh, they're cutting off. And so here's the thing. Here's the thing that I've been taking a new step in how I am intentionally dating is I am writing down the things that I perceive as potential red flags.
Do you?
Yes. I write them down, and I'm going to tell you why I've been writing them down. Because I am the type of person that over time, you could potentially win me over with certain personality attributes and so forth. But at the end of the day, the very things that were red flags to me in the very beginning are the things that are like complete deal breakers. If we make it to a relationship, the reason why we break up in the end. And so what I've learned is that I want to be intentional and actually write down the things that are triggers for me. I even write down the scenarios. You said this person said this and it made me feel like this, because it's not because of that person. It's more for me. Dating is experiential, right? Like it's experiences, and gaining those experiences is knowledge for me. So now I understand these are things that I don't like. These are triggers for me. And this reminds me of X, Y, and Z. And I've noticed a trend. How this person may not meet our expectations. And not only how they may not meet our expectations, but the seriousness of it. So like, for instance, a person who likes to play mind games, on one end of that spectrum, it could mean that the person is controlling and potentially abusive and all these things, right? Playing.
What's an example of mind games that you could give?
An example of mind games, being inconsistent,
telling you one thing but doing another.
Yeah, or even like mind games, like a guy,
girl, like I really like you. Yes, we gonna get married someday. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that.
I'm gonna take it a step further. Being interested in you, but talking about other girls to you, or not being clear of what. Not basically, mind games is specifically
anything that makes you feel some type of way.
No, that's not mind games. Mind games,
it is.
No,
if I start to feel some type of way,
no, because that could be you.
I'm a normal person.
No, that could be you. That could be you. Mind games is when a person is specifically being vague and specifically playing up on however that may look. So they could be vague. They could say one thing and mean another, indecisive. And so on the latter
we're
end,
canceling that spirit in 2020. Canceled.
Oh my gosh. On the latter end of that spectrum, it could just be that a person is playing mind games because they're just indecisive. They don't know what they want. So either way, it's a deal breaker, right? And, not to go too deep into all this, but what I really want to say is, we're talking about expectations and red flags from other people. But I got to tell you this. You want to know the biggest red flags for yourself, like that are going to put you in some hot water? You should never date out of boredom or desperation. If you date out of boredom and desperation,
you'll take anything.
Not only that,
you'll be blinded.
Not only that, but oh my gosh, not only that, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that because now I want to know what is happening inside that has caused you to willingly accept abuse, be taken advantage of, and be mistreated.
And it doesn't even have to go that far either. It doesn't even have to necessarily go...
Well, no, but it does though. And that's what I'm saying is when you date out of boredom and when you date out of desperation, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be in a situation where...
Because your standards are lower.
Yes, because you don't have a standard. You may not even have an expectation. You just might want a warm body. Like, that's why I say, and I think that what you have to do is, look, it's nothing wrong with any of us wanting to have companionship. Like, we should want companionship.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But the question is, what is the trigger? What is the root of you feeling like you need fulfillment from another person? Because there's no person that will ever fulfill you. And that's even in marriage. And so that's why I'm saying, like,
what is your purpose in dating, in relationships, in future marriage?
And that's why you have to ask yourself those questions is why is it that you think that that's going to solve whatever it is? Like, what's the root of it? Because ultimately that's the biggest piece. I mean, like, think about it. Like, for you, what would you say is like one of the main reasons why people either date out of desperation or boredom?
Oh, because they're lonely. And because I feel like it's a timeline thing right now, too. I think the older we get, we're feeling like, oh my gosh, like, I need to get married. I need to have kids. I need to have a house. I need to have all these things. And so then we jump to this desperation thing versus just waiting on the perfect timing, waiting on everything to align perfectly in its time. Which leads me to our comment/question of the day. So this comes from somebody very near and dear. No, but here's our question of the day. I have not celebrated Valentine's Day with a real Valentine since 2016. I just knew this would be the year for me, but once again, it's not. I know my family loves me and I have to be patient with God, but in reality, it is hard not to complain and be upset about my situation. I want to be loved, and no, that doesn't mean I don't love myself, but that's what society tries to tell us. We see everywhere, all the couples, Instagram, social media is the worst. It's so the worst. It's the worst. So, man, I feel you, sis. I feel you. I've definitely been there. For me, I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm content right now. And yes, I totally understand. It's hard seeing all these couples, especially around this time. You go in stores and it's like all these cute Valentine's things, all these love songs. But sometimes you have to protect yourself. You have to know what triggers you. So for me, I love romance movies. So romance movies, certain songs, all that kind of stuff triggers me. So I can't listen to that if I'm feeling really vulnerable. And if I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna make me want to boo, then I'm like, okay, let me take some time away from that. Let me just watch normal, I don't know, documentaries and like other things that aren't romance, and let me listen to some Christian music, because it's hard for me to think about a man when I'm thinking about Jesus and praising Jesus. So I really have to renew my mind on the Lord to like refocus me so that I am just so focused on my purpose and I'm not focused on what society is trying to get me to believe. Watching commercials, when you're seeing people get married, buy engagement rings, all these different things, and it's it may not be your time. And yes, you may already feel like you're already walking in your purpose, you're already in your job. But like I said in a previous video, it could be a time where your future spouse isn't ready yet. He's being prepared to be your spouse. And you have to remember Proverbs 18:22. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. He who finds a wife. You have to be a wife. This is the prerequisite. It's he who finds a wife, meaning you are a wife. You're wife material already. And he finds you. So that means that he has to be ready to find you. If we go back to Genesis, what's her name? Eve. I was like, what's her name?
I was like,
what's her name?
In my head, I was like, well, Genesis is a really big book, so there's a lot of she's.
There's a lot of she's, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. If we go back to Genesis, Eve was taken out of Adam's rib. Eve did not do anything. She was just there. She was created. Adam approached Eve. He woke up and he was like, ooh, child, who are you? You fine, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. You are fine. I want you. You are my wife. Same thing, Proverbs. He who finds a wife. And for Christian men, it also says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord, insinuating that when you find a wife, you will get favor. So I think sometimes men think, oh, I have to have everything together, all this stuff together before like I meet my wife. But no, it says in scripture, when you find your wife, you will obtain favor from the Lord because you found a good thing. So think about that. Think about that, men who are watching this. But I just want you guys to know that you are loved, to focus on your purpose. There's so many different things that you could do with your time. Like even if you feel like you're walking in your goal, there's so many different things that you can do with your time. Do some other things like that you love, like kind of going back to our other videos about hobbies. But just know that you're loved and that it's one day out of the year and that we're your sisters in Christ and you can always call on us and we'll be there for you.
Well, for the women.
Yes, for the women, not for the men, because that's a whole
another video
issue.
I can connect you.
That's a whole other.
I can connect you with a brother in Christ.
We got some tips for you. We got some men.
But I will not be the sister in Christ that you talk to.
That'd be a problem.
And confide in.
The men's. No. Yeah. So, with that being said, I'm getting married in 2020. I just thought I would let you guys know. According to the Instagram predictions that I did multiple times, Multiple times, not just once, multiple. They said I was getting married in 2020, and I know who it is. So if you guys just see me pop up, with a husband, just know that it was meant to be because Instagram told me. Yes.
Anyways. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Okay.
She's crazy. And as always, we'll see you and you'll see us in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.